Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 684 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Jenna Quentin. And if you want to hear about her company, Adjust Your Media, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have Jenna Quentin on with me. It's episode 684. We're going to have a really fun conversation today about things that we love, which is chiropractic, advocacy. And I really want her to shine a spotlight on why she does what she does for chiropractic. Really, I want her to tell you guys how she gets results for her clients. And we're going to talk a lot about the chiropractic community and how we've both overcome dyslexia. And she started a podcast this year called What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of the Innate. Yeah. And I'm really excited about her podcast. She says it brings value. It might be the best thing she's done all year. So we'll talk about that as well. I know that there's a lot that goes into social media marketing, and that's something that she helps support for chiropractors. And just know you don't have to do it all and burn out. We can support you. So that's a pre-frame of today's show. I will tell you our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. If you don't know that that's necessary, try to live without it. We know what it's like to be shadow banned, traffic throttled, and censored. We'd never do that to you. So anybody that's ever talked to us, we've aired their show. Pretty cool, right? We do believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. I mean, what more of a cause could you ask to stand up for? And that's what chiropractic does. If you need help guiding yourself with those topics, you can go and find a chiropractor. Just search, find, and go and get support. I'm sure any chiropractor you reach out to would be happy to have support you and your family with those decisions. Philosophically speaking, we do support BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that means, go to the show notes, click on Sacred Trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did previously, I guarantee you. We do also support and believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but they're removing these things out of the colleges. So if you have a college student in your life or somebody that's a new grad and they need to understand chiropractic science, philosophy, and art better, please share the show. The show is necessary for people to understand this beautiful profession. And then we do believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and educated intelligence. And we believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, which makes them smart. And with that, this is episode 684. Jenna, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, there's a lot of robust conversation on just that intro.
Yeah.
But I think that people need to get influenced with the truth of this profession rather than what they think it might be. So I love the fact that we front load with that introduction the way we do. And I know that that's a big reason why we ask people to tell their stories too, so they can build rapport with you right away. So you're not a chiropractor,
Nope.
Advocate for the profession,
Yeah.
Helping chiropractors with their businesses. Talk about your story and how you got into chiropractic.
Yes. So I think today too, because I've told this story before, I think I'm going to tell an element that I don't usually share because you mentioned like freedom of speech and medical freedom and all of these things. So my chiropractic story starts when I was living in France. My husband is French. We had our first 2 babies there at home, natural births, all the good things, all the crunchy things. That's how I was raised. It's who I am. But my second birth was fairly traumatic. And I quickly found that I was subluxated, curled in. I would hold my forehead and my neck to sneeze, and I'd go, chit. And we were living in the Bordeaux area. If there are chiropractors in the Bordeaux area, I would love to give you a shout out, but I couldn't find any then. This was 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Couldn't find any there. And I knew my mom had been adjusted, and I knew that that was what I needed. I feel it was innate that I knew like this would be helpful to me, because I couldn't, pick up my baby, and I was trying to move, and couldn't sneeze. So we moved to the US 2013, and one of the first things that I did was say I need a chiropractor. Interestingly enough, too, my dad said, I think that you guys should be friends with this chiropractic couple, Ryan and Denise Dobbs. And, there my husband and I were, no jobs, 2 kids, a cat and a violin, arriving in Chicago. We had 35 boxes to our names. And my his big piece of advice is they should be your friends, which now is providential. I know that. But I started getting adjusted with the DOPS a few weeks after we moved, really, and was feeling better. And we could say that in a mechanistic way, I got chiropractic. I enjoyed it. It was a good thing. Loved the DOPS. But then it gets more interesting because I started writing for them, for their website, for their blog, because I'd been a writer for years for websites and newspapers and magazines and blogs. So I started writing for them. But my 5-year-old, whatever year I'm on, he was about 5. And I started realizing that he had sensory issues that I'd never been able to dial in on. Like, what is the matter with this healthy, happy kid who has terrible meltdowns where I don't know what's going on? He would like bump his elbow and be holding it and screaming for hours. And I was like pulling my hair out. I know kids. I'm from a big family. I know kids. Something was off here. And as I started learning, I realized it went back to when, well, let me start with, I said, could he get adjusted? I'm learning that sensory processing is a neurological, not a behavioral issue. Could he get adjusted? And of course, the docs were like, have you been listening at all? Yes, of course he can get adjusted. Hop on up here, kid. But this child, I was like, I don't know if he will be comfortable with getting adjusted. He doesn't really like to be touched. You try and, smooth his hair and he ducks away. You try to hold his hand and he's shaking you off. This is a child that at a church potluck in a loud, bright gym where people are talking and food is touching, he sat by the wall with his hoodie on and just rocked back and forth, right? So he starts getting adjusted. He started getting adjusted in the summer. After a couple of months, I look over at my cousin's house and he's on a swing set and he's swinging. And he had never been comfortable enough in his own skin. His nervous system had never been calm enough for him to swing. And that was kind of the first step. But as I was learning more, this is the part that I don't usually tell. That weight of guilt and shame was falling on me because I was realizing, backing it up to when he was a baby in France, even though I'm super natural, crunchy mom, all of these things, when a baby is born, at least then in France, you get a letter from the city hall that says, here's the mandated vaccines, you will do this. Okay. I have not been vaccinated against anything. My parents didn't vaccinate us against anything. We were raised with, rub some dirt on it. And here's some, echinacea. Take that. So when this came, I was 23. I was in a foreign country. I was speaking my second language. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I don't want to vaccinate this baby. I know better. However, I found a naturopathic doctor and I was like, he's going to help. And I misunderstood in part. I thought he's going to put it in the baby's medical records, because you have a medical record in France that you take with you, a journal de santé. And I was like, he's not going to do it. He's not going to vaccinate the baby. He's just going to, write it down and, throw it away. Or did I ask enough questions? No. Was I clear on what was happening? No. So he vaccinates my 7-month-old baby. And I went crazy. My poor husband, who's trying to catch up on all of this, like, you knew we were going to vaccinate him. And I was like, no, I didn't. I pick up the car seat, and here's where on this day I said, I'm an American. They can't make me vaccinate my child. And it's crazy now, because I think I put that on like my nationality, as my nationality being what gave me the right, instead of just I'm a human. I'm a person. I'm a mother. So when my son started having sensory issues, I was like, I did a bad thing. I hurt him. And then to see, like, you talked about dyslexia, so I'll jump in there, because I'm not dyslexic. My son is. My daughter is. And so I'm trying to homeschool this sensory sensitive kid. And it's like, we can't learn. He was in 3rd grade and could not say the alphabet. He knew the letters, but he couldn't sequence them. He knew the days of the week, but he couldn't say them in order. Just so crazy hard. Let me jump to now. He's 15 years old tomorrow. Honors student, doing fantastic. Just a bright, light-giving, loving kid who comes up and hugs me, who interacts with people, who's just like, what a kid. What an amazing kid. So that's my chiropractic story, is for families like mine to know that, through all of that, his nervous system was able to self-regulate. His body was able to heal itself. And here we are.
Well, I'm going to unpack a couple things you say there and build some frameworks. First thing, thanks for sharing. I think that's going to give a lot more people permission to understand this profession better. And it's never about us. It's about the outcome. And it's about the people around us, that if we set our standards and our example, other people can learn from us. I think that's a really great part of your story there. And there is some deep down entrenched survival mechanisms inside of us to know whether something's good or bad. And I think they call it mother's instinct. Some people call it the 6th sense, intuition. And moms are very, very in tune with what's right, what's wrong. Even though there's a lot of scare tactics out there and a lot of fear for people making the right decisions. That's why I open up the conversation from the beginning with the introduction, talking about medical freedom, family health freedom. They're not the same things, but I do urge people to go find a chiropractor if they need help with these topics, because everybody else has been captured. All the other medical professionals only color inside the lines for their reimbursements. And chiropractors are the ones that say, hold on, let's just adjust. Let's see where the subluxation is. Let's correct that subluxation, and let's see what happens with the innate. And that's a language that might scare a lot of people just because they're not familiar with those terms and that language. So I think it's really important for people to understand. And coming from 2 advocates here that are not chiropractors, talking the chiropractic language to other people, I think there's something to be said about that somebody else is going to pick up on what we're talking about today. And then they're going to give themselves permission to be a better mother. They're going to give themselves permission to start a podcast. They're going to give themselves permission to tell their truth and tell their story, because you never know how far reaching, right?
Right.
That's something you or I may say today that might have an impact on millions of lives tomorrow. So back to the philosophy of this profession. When you understand the philosophy of this profession, it can weave into all decision-making that you do. And we are a vitality-based group of people. And we believe that the body needs nothing extra in it, simply needs no interference. So if we clear the interference, the body self-heals, self-regulates, and vitality stays true, and it adapts. So all these things are the fundamentals of this profession, which I'm really excited to talk to you about too. Understanding where you came from, I just want to acknowledge you. How many moms are out there right now that will be watching this, even if you're a chiropractor and your neck hurts and you're hunched over and you're like, damn, I just wish somebody could adjust me. And
Yeah.
you're not doing it. And you're not doing it. At what cost? What is that costing you? Quality of life, those types of quotients. Like, what is it costing you to not take care of you to be better for everyone else around you? So I think that that's a big part of your story too, is you knew what you needed. You just didn't know how to get it.
Yeah.
You come back to America, your dad lines you up with the Dopses, and now you get what you needed.
Yeah.
Now you start improving. Now you say, wow, I don't have limitations that matter anymore. I can evolve and adapt and become a greater version of myself. And this is amazing. This is what chiropractic really is. It's not the word. It's not the adjustment. It's the effect that it has on people. Like, we are the greatest story that we have to tell. So that's the greatest thing about this. So advocacy, you go through it, your kid's starting to do better. How did you decide that you wanted to start working in the chiropractic profession?
Yes. So I often tell people that I don't work for chiropractors. I work with them, but I work for the families that they serve. I work for their communities. I do it for, so as a mom in France, a young mom, like now when I think about it, I was 25 with 2 kids. I had a Facebook account, and I would wait until 4 p.m. in France when my Facebook feed would refresh, because people in the US were waking up. And I would get to the end of that Facebook feed every single day. There are so many people, and that was, 12 years ago. There's so many people who are so disconnected, who are so alone, and they are on these things, these phones. And if we don't show up for them with solid content, with truth, with hope, if we just allow them to keep consuming the junk that's out there. So the why I started shifting to just chiropractic is also in part, that is the path that God laid out for me. Like, when people say chiropractic called me, it did call me, because nothing else was working. I had worked for years as a stringer, a freelance journalist, and loved that. But, if I'm going to spend time and energy away from my children doing something, it's got to matter a little bit more than the county commission meeting where they're talking about the baseball diamond. That has value, but it wasn't where my heart was. And when I tried to do writing for moms and thinking like, oh, I can provide value to moms, I wasn't connecting. That wasn't it. It just wasn't flowing. I was very much blocked there. And so my friend Denise Dupps, it was before a mom's event. She was like, let's get pizza first. So we're getting pizza, and I'm, venting to her, and she goes, you should just write for chiropractors. And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, don't worry about it. We're going to tell our friends. Within a weekend, I had chiropractic clients. Within 4 months, I had started my LLC. And now it's been, it was very quickly that it was like, I should niche down and not work with any other groups or companies or niches. And I should just work with chiropractors. This is where my heart is, and this is what I love.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5 Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. So I appreciate you sharing so much about how you got to where you are. Now I'm interested in how you help get your clients results, because there's a lot that I don't know about what you're doing. I think everybody should have social media. I think that it is the number one attention source out there. People are not only listening to podcasts, but they're scrolling on Facebook, they're scrolling on Instagram, they're listening to influencers. They're learning and they're doing their best to stay on top of things, but that device is consuming a lot of their attention time and attention units. How are you using that as a tool and getting results for your clients?
Yes. So, like you said, this is, Instagram is our business card. Facebook is our yellow pages now. But I'm also not tied to I had one person a few years ago who was like, you should just call yourself the queen of Instagram for Chiros or something. And I was like, I'm not even attached to Instagram. I'm attached to wherever we can reach people where they're at with words. Words are my favorite. So I tease people, if we have to start spray painting subway walls, then that's the direction Adjust Your Media will go, where we launch, subway spray painting campaigns. So what we're doing right now at the end of 2024 is a lot of Facebook and Instagram. We look at each month, are videos working? Do we need to do 5-sentence reels? Do we need to do 5-second reels? What is working best for organic social media content? What we're looking for and the results that we're looking for is really connection and community. So we want to see that reels are getting reach. We want to see that carousels, which are multi-image posts, that they're so educational and so full of value that people are saving them. We want to see that we're creating inspirational content that people want to share and increasing our organic reach that way. So what results we're getting is, we always talk about get people off of social media and onto a platform that you own, whether it's email newsletters, which I love and I love to write, blog posts, which I love. I've been blogging since I had a Zanga page in, I think, 2005. So love the old school blogging. I tell doctors sometimes, it's updating your website. It's like a magazine article. We're just putting it on your website. Like if calling it a blog turns you off, then we won't call it that. We'll call it an article. But, if we're talking just social media, the results we're looking for is slow, steady growth. We're looking for saves. We're looking for shares. We're looking for getting them onto your email newsletter with an opt-in or a workshop or a webinar. We're looking for just all of the ways that we can share in short form and long form. I call it the social media things are going to be your peripheral nerves. The platforms you own is going to be your spine. And then it all loops around back together to make a whole human. And the brain is really your new patients, your reactivated patients. But I do always tell people what we're doing with organic social media content is not lead generation. It is not how many new patients did you get from a single Instagram reel. What we're talking about is building a relationship and community and connection. So maybe the one client's win of the month is that their dentist saw their video and was inspired, and now they're becoming that. I think it's Dr. Angus Pike talks about being 5 mile famous. Maybe the win of the month is the businesses around you say, we know who they are. We know what they do. We know what chiropractic is. And maybe that's your organic social media result of the month, is that you've built connections with the businesses geographically close to you or who have overlapping audiences. So what I really do is to help doctors to, like, all of that sounds like so much. So we try and boil it down to what are our goals and what posts are going to accomplish those goals.
long-term strategy to build brand and business,
Yes.
and slow and steady, but consistent.
Yeah.
And I think that those are the things that most people overlook because I'm a content monster. Like I create content 5 to 10 times a day,
Yeah.
but not everybody has, you know, that ability. Not everybody can speak that social media language. Most people don't, they feel awkward.
Hmm.
So they don't want to speak their truth. They don't want to speak what they think that other people need to have access to. So I can see where having assistants and a team that can help like blueprint out a strategy that can get you those consistent posts throughout the day, throughout the week. That's really, I think, what hurts a lot of people's brands when I go do a screening and I'm out there doing boots on the ground work for somebody and they don't have a strong social media presence. It's harder for people to build a relationship with us in person. When I go and do a screen, somebody aces their social media with great ads and they have great outreach and consistent brand building. I do probably 15 more people scheduled because of they're like, you know what, I see your ads all the time, or I see the posts that you put into the community groups, or I see how you interact with people on social media. I've been thinking about coming to see you guys, and now
Yes.
you're here today.
Yes.
So it's a full circle branding
Yes.
and it's top of mind.
Hmm.
And the person that's continuously in the news feed will continuously get more attention. They'll get the more likes, comments, and shares. And that's the same way in the social world as chiropractors can think of it this way: stay, pay, refer.
Yeah.
Comments, like, shares, stay, pay, refer. Like if we wanted to make sense to people why they need to use your services, because it gets people to comment, like, and share, which then gets people to stay, pay, and refer, which is the outcome of what they want to have happen at their practice. So I see how they all go in alignment now. And thanks for the clarity on what you do and how you do it and why it works. Now let's talk a little bit about the chiropractic community. You said you wanted to niche into just one thing. You didn't want to go do reports on different things that were taking you away from your main thing. How do you feel now, focusing 100% onto the chiropractic messaging?
I really love it. It's so I travel probably 5 or 6 times a year to events, and it is very clear what I'm doing, where I'm going, who I'm talking to, and what I'm talking about. I don't have to switch between, oh, this is I did social media for a wedding venue, for example, years ago. So imagine, like, for me with my 2 brain cells I have left, switching from this is a wedding event, where I'm talking to brides and there's engagement season and all of this and that, and then switching to chiropractors. Like I'm not that adaptable. I know there are great social media managers who can switch around. I choose to put 100% into chiropractic. And every time when I meet them, I'm like, these are really my people. Like, even when I had a toddler still at home, now he's in first grade, but when I had a toddler here at home, there were times when he would come in the middle of a call. And there's not a chiropractor I've ever talked to who was like, oh, that's so unprofessional. Why is your kid there? Nobody said that. Everybody was like, hey, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So every time it's just the best. And, like you said, that mindset of chiropractors understand it when I say a short term campaign, we're going to do just ads and we're going to throw it out there and do nothing else. I compare it to chiropractic, like you said, where that's a short term mindset of like a care plan where, like, fix me so my back doesn't hurt. And if we're just doing a quick ad and nothing, no follow through. So what I'm really talking about is like building equity when you buy a home. We're building equity over 30 years or 15 years or however long. Doing your organic social media is like maintenance, wellness care for chiropractic, where we're in it for the long haul.
Well, here's the thing too that probably you're not discussing or other people aren't discussing is when you have a healthy social media presence and you have a healthy stream of new patients because of that. That gives you better curb appeal. You're talking about a 30-year plan. People will definitely buy your thing if you have established trade routes and if you have proven track record, and somebody can go back and look at your timeline for 5 years and they're like, damn, this clinic is crushing it. They're consistent with their branding. They're consistent with their campaigns. They're consistent with their messaging. I like this.
It's a plate
Um,
glass window so people can window shop, and it's right there on their phone. They're just window shopping.
I mean, how many times does somebody, they're curious about a brand or product, and you tell them like Chiro Hustle, and you go to Chiro Hustle's Instagram, you're like, I don't know. But then you go to like the website and you're like, oh wow, they put out consistent content. And then you
Yeah,
actually listen and you're like, huh, I think the messaging of this one really works. So
yeah,
it's a multi-pronged approach. And people ask me all the time with podcasting, that's our next topic, but they're like, well, where do you host your podcast? And basically, one of the things you said earlier, I don't ever really put much stake into how many people listen to our Spotify. We keep stats, or how many people go to iTunes, or how many people check us out on Facebook or Instagram. The traffic I care about the most is, when do people come to chirohustle.com?
mm,
And those are the metrics I care about the most, because that's my list.
yeah,
Like, they could remove me and shadow ban me and cancel me and remove me from YouTube. They could remove me from LinkedIn. They could remove me from all of that. But the one core group that I control, that traffic source and that list, is the people that come to our website.
100%.
So I think everybody needs to take some notes on that little segment there about why a brand is powerful, and how you can go from 7 years of nothing to 7 years in the future and having content that people follow, they comment, like, and share. Our brand equity is really strong. So
Mhm.
if people think about their clinic as brand equity, think about where you can go from now with Jenna to the next 7 years with her, and see how she can help bake in these campaigns and this awareness social media content to start building your curb appeal to where you're ready to exit and move on to the next thing. Now you have something sellable with a track record of influence, that is something super valuable, because that is your database and that is your
Yeah.
content strategy, which I think you can't overlook. So, talking about podcasts, um, talk to me. What's the show called?
It's What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure: Stories of Innate. And yeah, it is like you were saying, the multi-pronged approach. Podcast is one of them. I call it the octopus approach, like 8 legs, but it all does funnel down to that one main thing.
Well, I think there's a lot of times when people just get overwhelmed
Mm,
and they're like, dang, if I do that and I don't stay with it, what happens? And those are the optics of judgment, but the optics of the outside looking in too. And I
mm,
think that podcasting can become extremely powerful for people if they stay consistent with it and create a long-term plan with it. If they want to just create like a small mini series of like 6, I think I had this conversation with you 2 Mile Highs ago. I was like, if people want to have like a mini series and just create 6 episodes and then be done, package it that way and say,
yeah,
this is a season. All we're going to talk about is this topic. I'm going to have subject matter experts come on for this many episodes and we're going to roll.
yeah.
And then you're done. To me, I just want to create as many episodes as possible.
There you go.
So for you, what's your objective with what chiropractic doesn't cure?
So, 2 objectives. One, to let the public know more chiropractic stories, because when I, as a mom, share a story about my daughter nearly had appendicitis and now she's fine, 2 adjustments and she's fine, got things moving. It has a different weight than if I say, listen to all of these doctors who share all of these stories. So, on one aspect, it is for the public to hear these stories. On the other side, it is to inspire chiropractors to tell their own stories. Like whoever I have on this week is Dr. Mel Krug. I think in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, I have, um, it doesn't matter. But I have some great names. Tony Ebel has been on, Dr. Tim Young. When they share their stories, I don't want all of the other chiropractors in the world to think, well, that's just Dr. Tim Young. He's amazing. I want them to be inspired to say, things like that happen in our office all the time. So share it. And so we give tips and tools on how they can share their stories, both from my perspective and from these amazing chiropractors' perspective.
Really cool stuff. And you said before we started, this might be the best thing you've done all year. So congratulations on becoming a podcaster, loving the process of it, and getting the message of chiropractic out to more people. At this segment, is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Mostly when you mentioned the feelings that people have around doing social media, and I want to just tell people, whatever strategy you hear from me or anybody else, if you're not having fun with it, you don't have to force yourself. There's no point if you do not if you have been, doing it and doing it and doing it and you're not having fun with it, we see it in your micro expressions. It won't come across the same. So keep trying different formats, try different platforms, find what you enjoy, what brings you to life, how you love to share your stories, and then start doing that. And I'm not saying give up on trying the other formats. For example, if you don't love video right now, let's just get started with a 15-second Instagram story. It's going to disappear in 24 hours. Don't worry about it, and then you can work up to longer videos, bigger formats, all of those things. But find what you have fun with. If you don't have fun lip syncing, don't do it. If you don't have fun, if you don't like adjustment videos, don't do them. Do what is really in alignment with you, what feels good. And then my dad always said, have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot of stuff that we share with people about branding, marketing, strategy,
Yeah.
building relationships, working with passion, doing things that inspire you, that can inspire others, and find your community. I think there's a lot of great things. And I know you wanted to say, doing the podcast gives people an invitation to build a relationship with you. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you taking the invitation to jump on with us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Well, if people wanted to work with you or learn more about you, where can we send them to?
JennaQuentin.com. So that is Quentin, Quentin. It's the French side. So then also adjustyourmedia.com is my membership, where if you don't want to completely delegate it out, you want to have your team have the support and the things that they need, the tools that they need to save them time and strategy, you go to adjustyourmedia.com.
JennaQuentin.com, adjustyourmedia.com. Check her out. See how she can plug in and help you find more success with your social media. And as she said, like her dad said, have more fun. With that, this is episode 684 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I always close out by telling you guys, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now, Jenna.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.